Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblue, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk Media Network here on the Monday after. The Monday after a couple of narrow victories. I mean, narrow victories by Clemson and South Carolina. You know, who would have thought South Carolina can't score? And, you know, it took a heroic drive by South Carolina to win their game, and it took a big break for Clemson to go ahead and win its game. Had it gone into overtime, they might still have won, but who knows? You don't want to take that chance going into overtime. So we're talking about that tonight here on Sports Talk, along with everything else around college football. A lot of stuff going on, of course, with LSU firing Ed Orgeron. Of course, the Braves doing their thing, going back to L.A. now, up 2-0. We got the American League Series tonight, 1-1, going to Boston. So much going on. Kyle Larson winning again in NASCAR. Be a shock if he doesn't win the championship now the way he is running.
Boring.
Yeah. Our phone number,
Boring.
888-898-2525, 888-898-2525. That's our South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Go ahead and get in line and join us, and we'll get to as many calls as we can. Zach Willis at 7:35. First and 10 with Zach. Monday night with Mick, as, boy, the Panthers all of a sudden can't beat anybody, finding new ways to lose games after starting off so well. And we've got the rosters for the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South All-Star football game coming up in December. Those were released today. We'll give you those names coming up in just a little bit, and we'll have the two head coaches joining us tonight as well, Wayne Farmer and Art Craig. So we got a busy, busy show. Of course, I was up in Syracuse watching Clemson and Syracuse on Friday night, and Smitty was at Williams-Brice Stadium for the Gamecocks and Vanderbilt. And Bergie was doing yard work over the weekend after he finished up with Socastee High School. But he'll be busy this week. He's got a midweek game, Wednesday night game, Coastal Carolina up at Appalachian State. We'll talk more about that coming up. Looking forward to that. So let's go around the horn here real quick with our thoughts. I'll start with Clemson and Syracuse. And, you know, the Tigers just can't score points. I think we've come to that conclusion. They're just not going to score a bunch of points. And I think that if you're a Clemson fan, you see that offensively it's just going to be a struggle. Uyunglele is going to have his moments. The consistency's not there. He did make some nice throws. They, got enough out of their running game. Defensively, you'd have to say there is a little bit of concern in that the outstanding running back for Syracuse had a big first half. They did slow him down some in the second half. But I think what would be most concerning is that when you needed your defense to shut them down and not let them go down the field at the end of the ball game for a chance to tie or win, Syracuse did just that. They moved right down the field, and Dino Babers decided to go for the field goal. It was 4th and 1, opted to go for the field goal, which I think was the smart play. I mean, if you go for it on 4th and 1 and don't get it, you're going to be just run out of the stadium by your fans. And I know that they weren't happy that they missed the field goal, but it's a reliable kicker. A guy who's a veteran there at Syracuse, he just missed it, and he missed it badly. And that was a bad break for Syracuse and a good break for Clemson. And, they escaped with a win that they were favored to, a game that they were favored to win by double digits. And they did not. But it's a win nonetheless, and now they get ready to go to Pittsburgh, which is nationally ranked this week, which has a very, very explosive offense with an excellent quarterback and a pretty good defense, a defense that's good enough to complement their offense. So Clemson is going to have to find some offense this week going to Pittsburgh, hope that their defense can play even better than it did against Syracuse. The Tigers are dealing with a rash of injuries. They were without 14 scholarship players up at Syracuse, so that no doubt was a bit of an issue for them as they were missing, guys across the board, defensive line, secondary, wide receiver, of course, running back. So they're dealing with a bit of a mash unit over there right now from an injury standpoint. So, this Pittsburgh game for Clemson, I think, is now the key game of the year for them. If they can get this one, then I think they set themselves up in pretty good shape to have a chance to run the table the rest of the way. But this is going to be a very tough game at Pittsburgh for Clemson to win based on how they're playing right now. Smitty, the Gamecocks, they took it to the wire with Vanderbilt. If you'd only seen the videos that Gamecock production put out, if that's all you knew about the game, you would have thought they'd beaten Oklahoma or maybe Notre Dame or somebody like that. I mean, come on, people. It was just Vanderbilt, and you had to rally to beat them by a point.
Yeah, I'm really of two minds, guys, as to what I witnessed at Williams-Brice on Saturday. And I think perhaps I read a lot of the stories from our colleagues afterward, over the weekend, and I may have been as tough on the Gamecocks in my recap and in the story that we posted at SportsTalkSC.com as anybody. And I don't know. I don't know how our listeners tonight are necessarily going to respond to that. I thought, I guess the good is there were perhaps the two best drives of the season I saw on Saturday for the Gamecocks. The opening drive, 75 yards, engineered by Luke Doty, which was the perfect cocktail of runs and passes. And Chris Bergen pointed out last week, this team has got to start faster, and they did. They went up 14-3. And then the last drive, perhaps the best of the season, the best 2-minute drill I've seen from South Carolina in some time. But that was from Zeb Nolan, 75 yards. And everything in between was barely suitable for broadcast. I pointed that out in the story. Guys, that's 10 possessions in a row they went without scoring against Vanderbilt. Okay? 2 fumbles in there, 2 interceptions in there, 4 punts, a missed field goal. It was hard to watch in between all of the good that happened in the first 5 minutes of the ball game and in the final minute. Now, Shane Beamer said on his conference call last night, he will not apologize for winning. And I don't think that he should, but I think sometimes there's something missing here. Shane Beamer he takes a stance. He even took on the media in his post-game comments saying, we're not going to let other people write this for us or talk about the narrative. And I don't know what Shane Beamer thinks we're thinking out here, but I would say this from somebody who is both talks to a lot of fans and talks to other people in the media. Coach, nobody's against you right now. They just think your team shouldn't commit 10 penalties and commit 4 turnovers against Vanderbilt. Full stop. And for me, this is a team that I think, and I will not just speak for Gamecock fans, we'll open the floor to them. But I think the concern is this defense has gotten a lot better this season. The offense continues to struggle to finish drives, and the competition level has not mattered. They struggled to finish drives at East Carolina with Zeb Nolan at quarterback. They struggled to finish drives against Vanderbilt and Troy with Luke Doty at quarterback. They were 2 of 5 in the red zone. So the elation is there. And I probably didn't address that enough. It's fun. Zeb Nolan taking over at quarterback and winning the game, that is fun. Enjoy it. Take pride in the fact that South Carolina is 4-3. That's all fine. But to me, for whatever reason, I took more negative out of this game with the Gamecocks continuing to commit penalties. And every time I see them do something right, I'll give you an example. 3 touches for Zaquandre White, who emerged out of nowhere. Phil, that's someone you thought they should get the ball to dating back to last year. You were excited about him. Zaquandre White goes out, 3 touches, 27 yards. The next thing that happens is they hit Jaheim Bell in the seam. He's inside the red zone, and he fumbles the football. Even Shane Beamer pointed out, as he was trying to spin this in a positive manner, 3 times South Carolina was in Vanderbilt territory, and had drives stopped by holding penalties. It hasn't gotten better. I said almost all of these things word for word about 3 weeks ago after a loss. Now I'm saying them after a victory. So South Carolina, maybe I was a little too hard on them right in the immediate post game. But as I'm answering your question about what I saw on Saturday, when I think back to what I saw, yes, Shane Beamer got to celebrate with Colonel Zebulon Nolan, and that's a lot of fun. But something has to change. You can't go 10 fruitless drives in a row against Vanderbilt. Almost nobody can do that, and they did it. Still, they still were able to pull out the victory. But they have to play a lot better at Texas A&M to stay in that game, so they don't get run off the field by those guys.
All right, Chris, you were able to sit back and watch it all, not just this, but Tennessee, Ole Miss, and other games around the SEC and ACC. And what was your take from the weekend?
Well, I hope we'll get a chance as the evening progresses, not only talk about Tennessee, Ole Miss, but the aftermath and what the SEC has decided to do in terms of punishment to the fans, which I think is ridiculous because it doesn't punish the fans. It only punishes the school, but we'll get back to that later. But I want to dovetail off what Smitty said about the South Carolina game, because obviously I didn't get to see the Clemson game up close and personal because I was doing high school football. But looking back on what Clemson did, again, I think you brought this up during the scoreboard show on Friday night. If you're a Tigers fan, this is your team. This is who they are moving forward. They are not going to blow teams out anymore. They are not going to score 50, 60 points a game. It's just not going to happen. They don't have the offensive capability. They've got a below average offensive line with an average to perhaps slightly above average quarterback. They have very little running game, and the wide receivers aren't making enough plays. But they're finding ways to win because of their defense. And Dabo stressed this last night, not just their defense, but their special teams. Special teams have been so critically important to them in a schedule that has seen them go the last 4 games down to the wire final possession contests. Now, with regards to USC, Smitty's 100% correct. You watch that ball game on Saturday, and you see them start, as they had said all week, we had to start faster. Carolina did. They scored 14 points in the first quarter, and it looks like they're going to blow Vanderbilt off the field. And then for whatever reason, the offense goes in the tank. And Smitty, I'm not so sure it's Vanderbilt or anybody. If you play that way, let's insert Florida into that mix. Same outcome, but the way the game is played. I'm not so sure Gamecock fans are overly excited about that. Yes, it's a nice win over a team like Florida. But again, you have to be rescued after your team played so well early. And South Carolina's got to find a way not only to start better, but also maintain throughout the ballgame. They had no business winning that game on Saturday. And you can thank not only Zeb Nolan, but I think you can also give a little bit of credit to a poor defensive game plan in the final minute of that contest by Vanderbilt. They gave, when Luke Doty was out there in the second half, they harassed him. They forced him into bad throws. They caused a fumble out of Doty because they were putting pressure on him. But when Nolan came in and they had the lead, they wanted to play not to lose as opposed to playing to finish this game and finally snap, what was it, a 20-game losing streak in conference play. They did not get after Zeb Nolan. And to Zeb Nolan's credit, Phil, he picked them apart moving down the field because he had time to throw. That was something that Luke Doty did not have much of the second half. And I think in as much as Zeb Nolan was the hero of that game, you also need to give a tip of the cap to Vanderbilt's lack of defensive pressure late in that contest, which allowed South Carolina to drive it right down the field. Same thing the Panthers dealt with yesterday. They had a situation where they sort of backed off in that contest late in the ball game and allowed Minnesota to move in and get an opportunity to win that game. But I don't understand why teams go away from what they had done so well defensively late in contests. They almost go brain dead. Vanderbilt was playing so well defensively up until that final drive because they were putting pressure on the quarterback. And then they decided in the last minute, we just can't we got to keep everything in front of us. Well, that was fine. South Carolina had plenty of timeouts. They go 75 yards in less than a full minute. They get down the field and score. And it's only because Vanderbilt went away from what was working so well for them in the second half.
All right, our phone number, 888-898-2525. Love to hear from you, get your thoughts about what we're talking about tonight, anything else that you experienced over the weekend. That's our lucky number here on Sports Talk, brought to you by the South Carolina Education Lottery. Did you know that since 2002, More than $6 billion in lottery proceeds have been used to support South Carolina educational programs. You can learn more about the Education Lottery's impact at sceducation.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. We'll get to your calls after the break.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
All right, couple of quick items, and then we'll get to your phone calls. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Game time for Clemson and Florida State a week from Saturday at the Valley. Be 3:30 kickoff announced today. Reserve USC linebacker Louis Rosendo has entered the transfer portal, John, according to the Rivals transfer portal, John tracker. Seldom used backup internet website recruiting creation from down in Florida, who didn't play a whole lot at South Carolina, I'm afraid, during his time there. Let's see. USC punter Kai Kroger. This is one of those good news, bad news awards. USC punter Kai Kroger is the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. Well, that's nice. The bad news is he had to punt so much against Vanderbilt. That's not nice. But he did average 56.8 and no return yards. So that's good. But the fact you have to use your punter so frequently against Vandy. Latest NCAA stats in total offense, Coastal Carolina is ranked second in the country. Second in the country.
They're pretty good on offense. Yeah, they're not bad. And the number one quarterback in terms of efficiency and in Grayson McCall.
Defense, number six. Clemson. Let's do it in order. Total offense, Gamecocks, total offense 102. Total defense 34. Clemson, total offense 115. And total defense 24. Let's see. What else? AP preseason college basketball poll is out. This will shock you. Nobody from the state of South Carolina is in it. The top 25 by the AP preseason basketball: Gonzaga, UCLA, Kansas, Villanova, Texas, Michigan, Purdue, Baylor, Duke, and Kentucky. Top 10. Then it's Illinois, Memphis, Oregon, Alabama, Houston, Arkansas, Ohio State, Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida State. Top 20. And then Maryland, Auburn, St. Bonaventure, UConn, and Virginia rounded out. I mentioned we've got the rosters for the Touchstone Energy Bowl. We'll get that to you after the bottom of the hour. Let's go ahead and get your phone calls. 888-898-2525 is the number. We go to Tom Sumter. First up tonight to the Gamecock City. Tom, welcome in. How are you?
Yes, I was listening to the Alabama game Saturday night, and something they said, Nick Saban said, is that it's never good when you play bad and win because it gives you a false sense of who you are. And unfortunately, I'm afraid that's what's happening with the Gamecocks. I mean, I guess it's good they came out. It's a wonderful story. But the reality is, I mean, it's only 6 or 7 games. It just seems like that coaching staff is totally in over their head. And part of the reason I say that is, look at what has happened with the first-year coaches at Tennessee and Auburn this year. Okay, I don't understand why where those programs were. I would pull on a similar plane as where South Carolina was, and they went out and they got proven, experienced coaches and came in and brought proven, experienced assistants with them, and it just looks totally. And I know, give them time. Well, 7 games compared to what those other 2 programs have done. And look at the second-year coaches where they've taken their programs. Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, I think second year, and the fellow out at Arkansas. Does anybody think South Carolina's going to be anywhere close to that in 2 years? I don't know. I know it's a situation where you can't just, say, okay, it doesn't work out. But boy, if he's not forced to bring in some assistants on that offensive side of the ball who are proven and turn this thing around, I'm afraid it'll be 2 years and we'll be back to where we were before. So I don't know. I want the Gamecocks to win, don't get me wrong. But if they keep beating the Vanderbilts, the Eastern Illinois, and the Troys, and East Carolina, and that's viewed as being successful, we're not. We're fooling ourselves. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I mean, you're a real guy. I can tell. I mean, you're a realist. You're not caught up in all the smoke and mirrors, and that's great. You probably don't go on Twitter, which is good, and have to be exposed to all the hype videos and all that kind of stuff. Which I get it for the schools that are actually winning championships in their league or nationally and winning a lot of games. But I also understand what Shane Beamer is trying to do too, and that is internally he's trying to get these guys to think of themselves at a higher level than they actually are. Nothing wrong with that. He's trying to sell the hype to them. He's trying to create a particular culture inside the program of family and love and togetherness. And, maybe that was lacking under Will Muschamp. I don't know. But apparently maybe it was because that's what they really hit on at South Carolina now. And also he's trying to convince the outsiders that everything is okay here, nothing to see. We're building slowly. Every win is to be enjoyed and to be, blown up. And I get that. Winning is not easy. Even when you're playing the downtrodden, winning is not easy. It's to be celebrated. And the fun is in the winning, and I get that. You want to have a good time. And I think he is showing his youthful enthusiasm when they win a ball game, whether it's against, you really can't say they've beaten anybody of merit. So all he's done has been able to celebrate wins over other lowly programs. I was thinking over the weekend.
Phil, this is a program that has been lowly.
Well,
they were 2-8 last year. I mean, they've already doubled their win total. And his comparison with Auburn, I think, is a little unfair because Brian Harsin, inherited a much better program and a much better situation than what Shane Beamer inherited. I don't think anybody can argue that point. Now, Tennessee, that may be a little bit better. Comparison, but certainly don't throw Auburn in there. They finished 3rd in the West last year before they jettisoned Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, look, and those 2 programs are traditionally better than South Carolina.
Exactly.
They have that to build on. What I was going to say was in the SEC, you've got the SEC East, the SEC West, and the SEC Least. And you had the battle of the SEC Least between South Carolina and Vanderbilt on Saturday. Now you can throw Missouri in there as well as part of the SEC, lower part. But South Carolina, until they beat somebody of some notoriety, like go beat Texas A&M this weekend, okay? Then you got a celebration that is worth accepting and saying, yeah, that's you've done something now, or come home and beat an Auburn or a Florida. Certainly, Florida showed that they're a flawed football team in a lot of ways, and they got beaten by LSU on the road. I get that. And it was a down to the wire last second kind of thing. But they've got their issues as well, and their coach is not exactly on stable ground there in Gainesville right now.
No.
But beat one of those teams, and then you'll be showing your people that, yeah, you're making some progress. Be right back.
Point weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and cool this evening with the low dropping to 47. Tomorrow, more of what we've had all day today with sunny skies, a little bit warmer with a high of 77. More of the same on Wednesday with sunny skies and 79 the high. No rain in the forecast until a very slight chance of a shower on Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When I suggest a local business, it's usually something you'll need if something goes wrong. What about when it's not a problem, but a reward? I'm talking about the team at Mint Landscapes. For me, it actually was a need and a reward. We had a big concrete slab. It was all cracked and nasty. Brandon from Mint Landscapes comes out. He puts down these incredible, beautiful pavers. And now what was an eyesore is an area I want to actually show off. Want some stunning hardscapes done at your home? Call Mint Landscapes. 629-2924. 629-2924.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former President Donald Trump has filed a lawsuit to block the release of documents to the January 6th Select Committee of Congress challenging President Joe Biden's decision. Mr. Trump claims in the lawsuit that the request is almost limitless in scope and seeks records with no reasonable connection to that day. The January 6th committee is seeking the documents as part of its investigation into how a group of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol building on January 6th. It was a mixed day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 36 points to close at 35,258. But both the NASDAQ and the S&P were up. The NASDAQ by 124 points, the S&P by 15. And oil up 16 cents to $82.44 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Now, who could that be?
It's Dominion Energy. I signed us up for a home energy checkup. It's time we learn how to save energy and money.
Well, how much does it cost?
Not a dime. It's free, and it only takes about an hour. Plus, we get a report on things we can do to make our home more energy efficient.
I don't know. Sounds too good to be true.
No. See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hi, this is Marcia Clayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for the Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for the Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxfax.
Kevin Cohen here with Tim Hanberry from Medicare Blueprint. So, Tim, it is open enrollment now for Medicare. How does that impact our listeners at the point?
Well, Kevin, now's the time for you to review your Medicare Advantage plan because they can and do change each year. You'll need to make sure that your prescriptions are still covered and at what cost. So what should you do? First, give us a call. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll find out what your prescriptions are and what doctors you see. Then we'll find the best plan for you. We'll do all the work for you. We'll even make sure to show you all the additional benefits you're entitled to.
Yeah, listen, I called Tim and his team, and it's just like he says. We've cut our healthcare costs considerably. So don't waste time. Don't waste this opportunity during open enrollment. Give Tim a call at Medicare Blueprint, 803-708-7405, or find him online at MedicareBlueprint.com. That's 708-7405 or MedicareBlueprint.com.
All right, get to your phone calls again in just a moment, everybody. Stand by, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. It is that time of the year that we love because we love the Touchstone Energy Bowl, also known as the North-South All-Star Game, as it's been known for, 60-something years, 70 years. And it'll be back again this year after being gone last year because of COVID. It is coming back December 11th, Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. There is no Shrine Bowl this year, so the coaches, the head coaches, Wayne Farmer of Calhoun County and Art Craig of Hanahan and their staffs, they had the complete pick of the state. Normally, of course, the Shrine Bowl gets the first choice of players. Then the Touchstone Energy Bowl will look over and take the next group. They had a chance to just choose everybody that was available across the state. And the rosters of 88 players, 44 and 44, announced today. So congratulations to all these players. Look forward to being down at the beach in December. Of course, we are the exclusive home of play-by-play for the Touchstone Energy Bowl and our network across the state of South Carolina. Let's tell you who made these teams, beginning with the North roster. Head coach Wayne Farmer, the defensive backs. Well, actually, these aren't listed totally by position, but we will give them to you as they are listed here on the roster. So, defensive back Russell Brunson of Calhoun County, defensive back Anthony Walls of Louisville, wide receiver Jarek Foster of Nation Ford, wide receiver DJ Black of Chapman, wide receiver Matthias Dial of Woodruff, got to be the brother of the Gamecock corner, I would think, wide receiver Alijay Kelly from Greenville, who I believe is the son of Yusuf Kelly, isn't he? Former Clemson running back? Think so. Alijay Kelly from Greenville. We'll learn more about these guys as we move forward, including how to say their names. Linebacker Dumkeel Idahin of Indian Land. Going to have to work on that one. Tight end Josh Sapp of Greenville. You know about him. Athlete Darius Bowser of Clover. Quarterback Will Madison of Northwestern. Running back Tyler Smith of Gaffney. Wide receiver H-back Brooks Johnson of Nation Ford. Athlete Zan Dunham of Chester. Quarterback Trent Pierman of Daniel, son of Clemson assistant Danny Pierman. Linebacker Harrison Scott of St. Joseph's. Running back Kazarius Adams of Gray Collegiate, one of the most exciting players in the state. Linebacker Deuce Caldwell of Malden, committed to North Carolina. Linebacker KT Perry of Westside. Linebacker Nick Emanawari from Irmo, USC commitment. Linebacker Zai Todd of Lawrence. Running back TJ Williams of Denmark Oler. Clemson commitment. Defensive back Jaden Lucas of Malden. Defensive tackle Kai Teo of Spring Valley. Offensive lineman John Deal of Emerald. I think his brother is the tight end at Auburn. Luke Deal. Got to be brothers. Same school. Offensive lineman Charles Couch of Hannah. Linebacker Chandler McMaster of Christ Church. Offensive lineman Angus Fisher of Powdersville. Offensive lineman Sawyer Whitman of Gaffney. Offensive lineman Alec Johnson of Gray Collegiate. Offensive lineman Amarian McLeod of Indian Land. Defensive tackle Jaheim Lawson of Daniel. That is Shaq Lawson's, is it brother or nephew or cousin? Some relation there. Defensive tackle Carrington Charles of Lugoff Elgin. Offensive lineman Boston Brinkley of Fort Mill. Offensive lineman Peyton Pitts of Clinton. Long snapper Landon Mitchell of Dixie. Offensive lineman Houston Curry of Hillcrest. Defensive back Jacoby Henderson of Catawba Ridge. Defensive back Andre Hodge of Catawba Ridge. Defensive lineman Luke Bracey from Rock Hill. H-back receiver Hudson Lee of Dorman. Place kicker and punter Kanoa Vincent of Northwestern. Defensive tackle Micaiah Settles of AC Flora. Defensive tackle Michael Kennedy of Southside Christian. And defensive tackle Robbie Harrison of Emerald, who is committed to Arizona State, I believe. And as for the coaching staff for the North squad, as I mentioned, Wayne Farmer of Calhoun County is the head coach. Michael Allen of Nation Ford. Bradley Adams of Woodruff. Kyle Stewart of Liberty. Will Mitchell of Louisville. David Pierce of York. And Bill Bacon of Lugoff Elgin are the assistant coaches. Okay, now for the South team roster. For the Touchstone Energy Bowl, defensive back Caleb Frost of Cane Bay. Defensive back Quantre Harry of Lee Central. Defensive back Roman Watford of Timberland. Running back Josh Shaw of Hanahan. Quarterback Ryan Berger of Myrtle Beach. Receiver Xavier Short of Chapin, who is committed to Appalachian State. And Berger, he's committed also to
Appalachian State.
Appalachian State. Thank you. You would know that, one-time voice of the Seahawks. Tight end Avion McBride of West Florence. Wide receiver Carlton Terry, the second of Conway, son of the head coach.
Mm-hmm. And an unbelievably talented wide receiver. I got to see him play on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
He reeled in about 200-plus yards of receiving, including 2 touchdowns, I think, against Socastee. Really, really, really good player.
All right. Let's see. Where else? Defensive back Jamian Risher of Wade Hampton. Defensive back Tyree Prunes of C.E. Murray. Linebacker Caleb Edwards of West Ashley. Running back Luke Janik of Carolina Forest. Quarterback Garvin Douglas of May River. Defensive back Gian Allen of May River. Defensive back Jaden Kennard of Dutch Fork. Running back Nemo Squire of Dillon. Running back Dimitri Simmons of Goose Creek. I've heard David Shelton say a number of great things about Dimitri Simmons. What a terrific player he is. Linebacker Jalen Sneed of Hilton Head, who's committed to Notre Dame. Linebacker Demarion Ginn of South Aiken. Defensive back Jaleel Porter of West Ashley. Linebacker Devron Williams of Strom Thurmond. Linebacker Tevin Ely of Camden. Defensive lineman Jamarian Franklin from Lake City. Offensive lineman Jaden Johnson of Goose Creek. Offensive lineman Jesus Gutierrez of Green Sea Floyds. Linebacker Quincy Bias of Bamberg Earhart. Offensive lineman Jacob Ashley from Oceanside. Offensive lineman Levi Gould of River Bluff. Defensive lineman Nick Downing of Ashley Ridge. Defensive lineman Devin Geddes of Fort Dorchester. Offensive lineman Chase Swigert from Chapin. Kicker Drew Stevens of North Augusta, who is, I think he's committed. Is that the one that's committed to Iowa? I think he's committed to Iowa. Defensive lineman Alvin Wilson of Beaufort. Offensive lineman DeMarco Gadsden of Berkeley. Offensive lineman Trey Krosky of Lakewood. Offensive lineman Xavier Chaplin, Well Branch. Wide receiver Skylar King of Brooklyn Casey. Wide receiver Antonio Williams of Dutch Fork. Wide receiver Kevin Diggs of Chesterfield. Tight end Gray Leapart of Gilbert. Quarterback Adam Randall from Myrtle Beach, who is committed to Clemson.
That's a Clemson commit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Clemson commit.
Just checking. Defensive lineman DJ Watson.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Of Fort Dorchester. Defensive lineman Carnell Jones of Somerville. And defensive lineman Jamori Cord from Crestwood. Coaching staff, Art Craig's the head coach from Hanahan. Russell Zaire from Berkeley. Rodney Summers of May River. Will Lampkin of Ridgeland Hardyville. Jim Schumann of Allendale Fairfax. Bill Seawright of Chapin. Ashley Harvey my corn vision has let me down. I've taken some medication for that, and I've eliminated that now. I don't. After my prognosis for Clemson failed miserably Friday night in terms of what they would average the rest of the way. I've given up on that. Okay, let's hit the break, and we'll come back and get back to your phone calls. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. Oh, I missed this earlier. The guys had mentioned it to me. But we have a Clemson player in the portal, John, and it's Joseph Charleston, safety for Clemson. Had 62 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 passes deflected during his time at Clemson. Had been in and out of the lineup, was not with them. He was not on the active list last couple of times. So, something going on there. But one thing's going on, he's leaving. And we'll be back.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Keep fighting the spread. Wear your face mask. Stay 6 feet apart. And get vaccinated. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxfax.
Hi, I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and I've got a great gift idea that requires zero shopping, the gift of college savings. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan makes it easy. Grandparents, friends, and family can all contribute to a Future Scholar account and know that they're providing a gift that will last a lifetime. If you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, look no further. Learn more about the smart, easy way to save and give this holiday season at futurescholar.com.
Hey, you making any plans to get away sometime this fall? Maybe into the early winter, a chance just to get away from it all and relax? Why don't you consider heading down to Pawleys Island and Litchfield in that part of South Carolina? If you are planning to do so, before you do anything, call Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty, 843-237-4246, or visit PawleysVacationRentals.com. Pawleys Island, Litchfield, that's a beautiful area in South Carolina. Great place to be. And, man, this time of the year, it's even more special. And they can take care of you for whatever you're looking for, whether it's a weekend getaway or maybe something a little longer, maybe a week or a month. Maybe you want to buy a piece of property, a house or a condo, whatever it is you're looking for along the Grand Strand. Give James Smith Realty and Jimmy Smith a call. That number, 843-237-4246, or visit PawleysVacationRentals.com for your perfect beach getaway. All right, we head back to your phone calls, 888-898-2525. I guess nobody else has transferred in the last 5 minutes, so the Gamecocks lost one. Clemson lost. When the Clemson lost, I made a little fun of the one leaving South Carolina because really he wasn't contributing, wasn't playing. But Charleston was a major player for Clemson last year, and I guess these 2 young safeties, Mickens and Makumba, have just moved ahead of him. But you have to have depth back there as well. You can never have enough quality safeties. But again, I guess here's a case, unless he's done something and he's in the doghouse or something up there, here's a case where it's like, I'm not going to see much playing time here, so I'm going to go hit somewhere else. That's just the psyche of the players today in college football. Unlike coaches, they don't get paid $17 million to go away, like Ed Orgeron could joke about yesterday. His mom said, make sure you get your money. He got his money, $17 million, not bad. Let's go to Hank in Columbia. Next up here on Sports Talk. Hank, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Corn. I'm gonna help you with your little realistic issue.
I don't need any help. I don't need any help.
I heard you talking with the guy before, and before you went over the roster.
Yes.
And Corn, let me help you and him. What did Vegas say Carolina's over and under for wins was for this year?
3.
Yeah, I don't understand what I don't understand what Carolina fans and what we fans think about. Just because we create scenarios in our head, Vegas, no matter how many scenarios that you, me, and the cow created in terms of what Carolina was going to be, Vegas kept on saying 3. And no matter how much Vegas was criticized, they said 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they have 4 wins. So they at least in Vegas' eyes, beat somebody that at the beginning of the year they didn't think they were going to beat.
But you want to see improvement, Hank. You want to see improvement. Are you seeing any improvement on the offensive side of this team? Now the defense has been steady for the most part. Georgia's side, and Georgia's special this year.
Georgia's doing that to everybody.
Exactly. So I'm not including Georgia. I'm saying Georgia's side. But I mean, the offense has struggled from the get-go. Forget about Eastern Illinois. They've struggled from the get-go, and they're not showing that they're getting any better.
But the problem is, the offense is just. I think we have problems with coaching. Coaching has to grow up. I ain't saying that coaching has to go, but the coaching they have to mature and, I guess grow. Young staffs have to grow, and you don't get to be an old coach until you're a young coach.
Right.
But then, so all these old coaches, I hear these people talking about, we're seeing 7 games. Well, Corn, you remember what we looked like after 11 games of Lou Holtz. and you saw what he got done.
Yeah, but you're talking about Lou Holtz was a Hall of Fame national championship coach at that time. I mean, he had a boatload full of credibility to go with him, and he turned it around. And he had a veteran coaching staff. A different time, different era.
Back in the day, that was a different time.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's what had you done for me yesterday, not last year. It's what have you done for me yesterday.
Right.
And I think one of the things we always got to remember, like Dr. Rick used to always say, is this is going to be a 3 or 4 year building scenario. Now, I do agree with criticism on the coaches, on some of the coaches, the stuff that some of these boneheaded things that happened on offense. And that game was as ugly as it could be the other night. The one positive I will give him from the game the other night is last year's team, Corn, the minute the first thing went wrong in that game, like the turnovers, about the middle of the year last year, the team was rolling on in. They played a good 5 minutes against Kentucky last year, and the minute Kentucky got one or two scores, they cashed it on in. So the team has actually continued to fight. But the offense needs to improve. But I don't agree. Carolina offense and Clemson offense are about at the same level of futility, if Clemson didn't worse. Because if you look at it, the other night Carolina was 7 of 13 on third down. We had 3 or 4 scoring opportunities that were blown up by penalties and stupid mistakes. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that Vanderbilt's defense was growing. We got inside the 10, and then we had the turnover. Then we had the 2 really bad interceptions, and we had 2 or 3 receivers that Doty missed that were running wide open in the first half, where that game should have been 28-3 before Vanderbilt blinked. But I look at it and you say, these coaches can at least say they're in their first year and they're young. I watched the game on Friday night. Did you up there, Corn? And in the second half, at one point, Clemson was 1 of 7 on third down.
Mm-hmm. Listen, Clemson's offense is nothing to write home about right now either. I mean, they had their and thanks for the call. We got to go to others. I mean, they have their moments, and Uiagalelei has showed some flashes again here and there, but to produce so little against Syracuse like they did the other night, again, I think we just have to accept Clemson for what it is, and what we're seeing right now is an offense that is basically been torn down and is in a rebuilding mode, and with this new quarterback and the constant turnover on the offensive line, injuries on the offensive side. I think, guys, this is what I would do if I were coaching Clemson. I think they've got 2 winnable running backs in Pace and Maffa, and that's all you need. You just need 2 running backs, primarily. I mean, a third in standby mode in case there are injuries. But I would take Will Shipley when he's healthy, and I'd put him in the slot. I think he can catch the ball. If he can run routes, and he can block for you, I would go with Pace and Maffa as my primary running backs, and then I would put Shipley in the slot, and I would put Ross back out on the wings where he excelled previously in his career. Do you think that would make a huge difference, Chris, in what they're doing on offense?
It's interesting. They've had a hard time getting even their wide receivers involved. Prior to, I think Ngata caught a touchdown pass, if I'm not mistaken, on Saturday or Friday night against Syracuse. Prior to that, they only had 3 touchdown passes to their wide receivers going into the game, and all 3 went to Justin Ross out of that slot position. So maybe that's been actually their viable position. So I don't know. Do you leave him there, or do you move him outside and try and make him, along with Ngata and Fred Ladson, if he's healthy, try and make those guys much more viable? And then, of course, as you pointed out, Will Shipley, I think, can play anywhere on the field. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
We're pausing for you, Smitty. Go ahead. Yeah.
Quickly and say, I was only going to say, guys, I think you can take that issue and talk about South Carolina as well. What we saw Quandre White bring to the table on Saturday night is a burst that South Carolina, I think, had been missing. They've got some of those long striders at wide receiver as well, like Jalen Brooks, who missed the past game, and Josh Vann is a bit in that mode. The way and Clemson has some of those long Cadillac type receivers, which are great to have, no doubt. But I think the way the game is played right now, you need someone that can move quickly in the slot, pick up 3rd down and 4, and get real separation, especially for young quarterbacks to see. Both South Carolina and Clemson have been playing young quarterbacks. It's so much easier if DJ Uiagalelei looks out there or Luke Doty looks out there and sees an open receiver as opposed to having to throw a receiver open. Trevor Lawrence he came on the scene and had no problem throwing receivers open, like Justin Ross, who wasn't open as you glanced downfield, but you saw where he was going, what he could do, and how he could win 50-50 balls. So I think what you just mentioned about moving Shipley to the slot, I think South Carolina should consider Juju McDowell when he comes back, or Quandre White in the slot as well, to give them that same element.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so Quandre White is a guy that you hadn't heard anything from, and then they used him a good bit. But let's see against Texas A&M, these guys that have these moments against these weaker opponents disappear when they have SEC opponents. I mean, now you're going to probably see more Kevin Harris than Zaquandre White, possibly. If you go back and look at what we've seen so far this year, I mean, they hardly used Zaquandre White in SEC games. But, against East Carolina, Eastern Illinois, I think, he got ample carry. So let's see if he's the one who continues to get he does give them the quickness. He and McDowell give them the speed and the quickness coming out of the backfield. And Harris, of course, gives them a hard-hitting, durable running back. All right, let's continue with your phone calls. We go next to Joe in Sumter. Joe, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Just enjoy your show.
Yes, sir.
And I've been listening to the comments from the other 2 callers. Anyone who has coached anything from Little League to Pop Warner football to basketball, what have you, knows that a hallmark of a well-coached team is a disciplined team. Okay, and what I have seen to this point, even though I'm a Beamer fan, all the way back to his father at Virginia Tech, but what I've seen so far, and I can't lay it at the head coach's feet, not necessarily, it could be other things involved, other people involved. To this point, I've seen a lack of discipline, okay? We had a lack of discipline in this ball game the other night here on Saturday night. I mean, it was obvious there was a lack of discipline there because there was too many penalties. There was too many drive killers. Also, the game previous to that, he got the ball on the 2-yard line, and it's only 2nd down, and instead of trying to run the ball in, you come up with a halfback pass.
I hate to do this to you. We got to hit the break. If you want to hang on, we'll get back to you. Be right back.
What's supposed to happen here? Thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Jury selection begins in a Georgia murder trial.
Father and son Greg and Travis McMichael and their neighbor William Bryan are charged with murder and other crimes in the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery. Defense attorneys say the men suspected he was a burglar and that Travis McMichael fired his gun in self-defense after Arbery attacked him. More than 2 months passed before the McMichaels and Bryan were charged. Prosecutors say Arbery was merely jogging when the McMichaels armed themselves and chased him down in a pickup truck. William Bryan recorded the now infamous cell phone video of Travis McMichael shooting Arbery 3 times at close range. Ahmaud's father, Marcus Arbery, spoke with reporters outside the courthouse.
I know my son was lynched by a white mob.
Jurors received questionnaires asking what they already knew about the Arbery case and whether they'd posted any comments online about the killing. I'm Jennifer King.
The ACLU has filed a lawsuit against teachers in Loudoun County, Virginia, who refused to use the pronouns students select to define their gender.
Alliance Defending Freedom Senior Counsel John Bursch says using the pronouns amounts to a lie.
And when we tell lies, it can do great damage and harm.
Bursch tells the Salem Radio Network using the pronouns students select for themselves is affirming what he calls a dysphoria in a young student's mind.
And yet that's the agenda the ACLU is pushing. It hurts kids and it violates constitutional rights. We are in the middle of that, and we're going to win.
The ADF is also active in defending parents in Virginia who speak out against schools imposing a progressive agenda in the classroom. Bob Agnew reporting.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson led a somber British parliament in honoring the conservative lawmaker stabbed to death as he met constituents at a church hall. That attack shocked Britain, and it has raised questions about how the country protects its politicians and grapples with extremism at home. A 25-year-old British man with Somali heritage, Ali Harbi Ali, is being held under the Terrorism Act on suspicion of murder. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 36 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Do you know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, SelectQuote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I even found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. Don't wait. Workplace open enrollment is here. Let SelectQuote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-659-8080. That's 1-800-659-8080. 1-800-659-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policy and carrier ratings at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
U.S. safety regulators are investigating fuel pump failures in more than 600,000 diesel Ram trucks.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says it has received 22 complaints about engine stalling due to high-pressure fuel pumps failing. The agency says a review of the complaints shows that the engines stop above 25 miles an hour, disabling the trucks. There haven't been any reports of crashes or injuries. The probe covers Ram 2500, 3500, 4500, and 5500 heavy-duty trucks with turbo diesel engines. The investigation could result in a recall. I'm Mike Hempen.
Sinclair Broadcast Group says some of its servers and workstations were encrypted with ransomware and the data was stolen from its network. The company operates dozens of TV stations. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and cool this evening with the low drop in the 47. Tomorrow, more of what we've had all day today with sunny skies and a bit warmer with high of 77. More of the same on Wednesday with sunny skies and 79 the high. No rain in the forecast until a very slight chance of a shower on Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number
888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to have you with us on this Monday night as we come to you from our studios in downtown Columbia. Phil Kornblut and Pat Daniel here. Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace in Florence, and Matt Smith with us as well from Smitty Manor down in Charleston. Smitty covered the Gamecocks on Saturday. I was up at Syracuse on Friday covering Clemson, and Berge was in his Barco Lounger taking it all in since Coastal was off. But he'll be busy heading up the mountains to Boone on Wednesday. Big showdown between Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State. Big Sun Belt showdown. I'll be heading out to College Station for Gamecocks, Texas A&M. Smitty will be heading to Pittsburgh for Clemson and Pittsburgh. So everybody's hitting the road this week as we got to travel with these guys to stay on top of what's going on. Quick note that I saw here, a little surprising note. I think it's ridiculous to even think about it, but you know what? Nothing is too ridiculous in college football. So, with the LSU job open, the athletic writer Bruce Feldman has thrown Dabo Swinney's name out there as, somebody who could be a swing at and see if you make contact sort of candidate by the athletic director at Texas A&M, Woodward. And he writes that, according to a source, he said Woodward, likes to swing for the big fish, go for the big fish. And the source told him that's totally his MO. He's going to make him say no, end quote. Because he writes here that Swinney's buyout is currently $3 million. But I don't believe that is correct. Looking at the database, USA Today coaches database that came out last week, his total buyout as of December 1st of this year is $47,500,000. So, I don't
That's
see
a long
where
way from $3 million.
Exactly. Those two don't really balance each other out. I've got to do a little more investigating here into Swinney's contractual numbers to figure that out. But that's a long way. You're right. That's a long way from $3. It makes a big. Remember the latest contract that Clemson signed Swinney to had a huge buyout in there because of any concern about Alabama and Nick Saban retiring and all that kind of stuff. And Swinney agreed to it. I mean, his whole idea was make it so large that I can't leave Clemson, if I
why
wanted
would he
to.
want to? I mean, what does LSU offer that he's not built Clemson into now? Clemson outside of this year had pretty easy pathway to get into the college football playoff, and LSU just fired a coach or is going to fire a coach who 2 years removed from a national championship. Now, I realize it's not solely based on wins and losses, though that is the narrative that they're trying to spin. Let's face it, there are a lot of other things underneath the surface that has probably cost Ed Orgeron his job, most notably maybe flirting with ladies around campus. But that being said, I mean, if you look at it from an outsider standpoint, why in the world would you want to go to a place that 2 years ago won a national championship and then boom, they have a bad year and a half, and coming off a huge win at home against Florida, they announced that they fired their head coach.
Yeah, and you're right. And, even though Clemson's not Clemson of the last 6-7 years, this year, they're going to bounce back. I don't think anybody with any common sense does not believe that they will bounce back and will be a power. And they're in a great situation in a league where they can bounce back easily and get back to the playoffs. All right, back to your phone calls in just a couple of minutes. We mentioned going over the rosters a little while ago for the Touchstone Energy Bowl, and the two head coaches are joining us. Coach Wayne Farmer from Calhoun County, who is the head coach of the North team, and Coach Art Craig from Hanahan, the head coach of the South team. I wonder what their buyouts are. Coach Craig, good to have you with us. What kind of buyout do you have there at Hanahan High School?
Nothing worth even mentioning. I can say that.
Probably a ham and egg sandwich.
Probably.
Coach Farmer, good to have you with us. How are you, sir?
Fine, sir.
Good to have you both with us. Great job on picking these rosters. Look like two really good teams you put together. Coach Farmer, we'll start with you. Tell us about the process you and your staff went through in selecting these guys and how you feel about your group.
It was a long process, and
and my assistant coaches did a really good job. It was hard, when you're picking the first time thinking that you're going Shrine Bowl be picking their roster, and we were picking North South guys, thinking what the Shrine Bowl would take, and then after the Shrine Bowl folded this year, we had to revamp and was told to pick the best of the best players. We had to regroup and thought we put together a really good list. And there's a lot of good players that's left off this list, which I hate. Without the Shrine Bowl being played, there's going to be a lot of good players that might have got a chance to play in this game that won't be able to play. But I thought we put together a really good list to compete against the South.
Yeah, Coach Craig, for you, what was it like having the entirety of your part of the state to be able to go and pick out the very best players?
I mean, it got kind of daunting. I think on the last list we got, we had like 203 kids nominated, just in the South. And so basically what we did is I told our guys, I said, let's find the top 25 guys that we got to have to try to win, and then let's fill in from there. But I felt like that when we got down to it, we picked a lot of deserving kids. My staff did a great job. Jerry Hatcher is from Well Branch, is my offensive line coach instead of Schumann. But I think overall we did as good a job as we could do, and we felt like it's going to be well represented.
What kind of things were you looking for in your players to fit what you want to do? I know defensively you'll be basic, just like the North team will be, but offensively you can do something kind of your own mindset. What are you guys thinking about on the offensive side?
Well, defense, we got a base out of a 4-3 and can't do a whole lot. But offensively, obviously you can't use motions and that kind of stuff. So we tried to find some guys that we thought could be playmakers that could do some things on that sense. And then, from there, we just felt like we had to find some backs that are going to be able to make some plays. Because, the North team always has just outstanding players. We had to try to find some kids that can make one-on-one plays when we got there one-on-one with somebody. And we felt like, that was kind of for us on offense in the skill position. That's where we had to run to, and we thought we did a pretty good job of that.
Did you mention a change on your coaching staff?
Well, yes. Jerry Hatcher from Well Branch replaced Jim Schumann, so he coaches our offensive line. And so, that's the change we had. But overall, I'm telling you, our staff did a great job. We watched so much film the last month on Thursdays. It was ridiculous. And like Coach Farmer said, there's a lot of great players that didn't get picked, but we felt like within the rules of having to pick one person from each region, that we picked the best players that could represent us. And, that showed pretty, a lot of things that Coach Doolittle wants to represent for the North-South All-Star game.
Absolutely. Coach Farmer, how about for you on offense as you were scouring the players nominated from the North to fit what you guys wanted to do? What were you considering there?
I guess our guys at each position wanted to try to get the best that would be at that position we thought to do what we want to do. As far as with the offensive linemen guys, they probably could run block, pass set, just big power linemen, with some skilled guys behind them, and along with the receivers. The South's got some really good D linemen, big as the devil. So we had to look at some offensive linemen that maybe uphold that rush they would have. And so I just thought, each position was very critical as far as picking, as far as talent wise and fun. And we're only going down here on Tuesday now, so we're not going down on Sunday. So we need to get guys that were fundamental and ready to play right now. We won't be doing a lot of fundamentals. We'll be going straight to scheme. So offensively, we thought we needed some playmakers, like Coach Craig said, that can do it, on their own, and guys that can get them the ball. Even our specialties with the kicker we got and long snapper, thought we did a good job with that. Thought, hopefully flip the field with that.
Give us some idea on the quarterbacks that you're taking. I see, of course, Will Madison from over at Northwestern, watching him or following him this year. I know he's had some really big games throwing the football, and Trent Pierman's another guy with some tremendous numbers throwing the ball from Daniel. What about those two guys? How do you see them fitting in with what you want to do with your offense?
Well, Bradley Adams, the head coach of Woodruff, is the offensive coordinator, and David Pierce is one of the assistant coaches from Northwestern. And we felt like the Northwestern quarterback was definitely the best one. And we felt like like we said, we only took 2 quarterbacks, and we thought about 4 to 6 were deserving, but we felt like Madison and Daniel were pretty much out the same system, which was going to be easy to do what we wanted to do, and that's how those 2 picks were made. Madison's unbelievable, sees the whole field, makes great choices. Same thing with Pyramid, and we felt like that's what came down to when we picking both of those guys.
Mm-hmm. And Coach Craig, how about for you? You've got Ryan Berger, a very highly talented quarterback out of Myrtle Beach, of course, in that offense, and the receivers he's had, throws it all over the place. And maybe Garvin Douglas from May River is a guy we haven't heard quite as much about. What about your quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, the kid from Myrtle Beach is phenomenal. I mean, he makes every throw, and we knew he was going to do that. And then the kid from May River, what we kind of figured on that is if you're going to run some zone read and some power read, that fits his game. And so we figured that if we've got one scheme and, with Coach Farmer, if they're throwing us over there, we could go to something else. And then we've got a couple of other kids. We got a couple other kids that play DB and stuff that if we got in a tight situation that we could move over. But we just felt like the kid from Myrtle Beach was just phenomenal, and he was a no-brainer on that part. So that's kind of how we went with that.
Yeah. And how about a receiver like Adam Randall and a receiver like Antonio Williams, just to name 2? And I'm sure you got other really good skill position players. Xavier Short's another one. You're loaded at wide receiver.
I think all those guys are great, but I think someone they're going to have to look at is the Diggs kid from Chesterfield. I mean, he is a big kid, 6'2", 6'3", 210 pounds, that really just kind of jumped off the charts for us as far as the things he can do. And there were so many, receivers there, but all our receivers kind of fit in our skill set that we wanted, and they're big guys, and they can do some things. And so we're excited to be able to have that group, and I think it's going to be a fun time for those guys going to throw that ball around a little bit.
And Coach Farmer, what excites you the most about your skill position guys? Who kind of stands out? I know the Josh Sapp kid. We're expecting him to commit to Clemson tomorrow. Tight end, H-back kind of guy. Maybe split him out a little bit too. What about him and some of the others?
Yeah, I thought as far as with that, with him and Hudson Lee and Josh from Nation Ford, with those big H guys that can also go out and be slot guys, along with Kelly and Foster, those speed guys that can get out there and maybe do some damage out there in the secondary and the deep end. I thought that was good, along with our running backs. We got some running backs like the Adams kid that can play running back and also get in the slot. So, and then with our DBs, our interchange can play some receiver also. So that's what we're looking for as far as the talent-wise. The Kelly kid's going to be, I think, will be a phenomenal wide receiver. And I thought we did a good job as far as picking what we had as far as in the receiver corps.
If you would, Coach, just so I've got it up to date and they can hear their names out there, are you able to recite your coaching staff for us?
Yes, sir. Brad Adams, head coach for Woodruff. He's the offensive coordinator. Michael Allen, head coach of Nation Ford, is the defensive coordinator. Cal Stewart from Powdersville would be the wide receivers coach. Bill Bacon from Lugoff Elgin would be the D-line coach. Coach Will Mitchell from Louisville will be our defensive back coach. Coach Pierce from Northwestern will be coaching H-backs. And I'll be coaching the running backs.
Very good. Coach, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Coach Craig, for your guys, can you recite them?
I'll do the best I can, but I know we got, we got Russell Zier at Cane Bay. He's going to be the D coordinator, DBs. I'm going to do the linebackers. Bill Seawright's going to do the D line. Stephen Parsley from Conway is going to handle the receivers. Rodney Summers from May River, and Will Lampkin that's assistant at Berkeley. Rodney's going to do the running back, and Lampkin's going to do the quarterback, and then we've got Coach Hatcher that's going to handle the offensive line. So, like I said, we feel like we've got a great staff there also.
Absolutely. I want to make sure I got all that right because I may have had a name or two wrong and a school or two wrong there from the list I had because I know things have changed up over the time since the staff was originally put together. So, gentlemen, we thank you for being with us. Good luck in your respective seasons the rest of the way. I know that's really first and foremost on your mind is taking care of your home business, but also, you're keeping an eye on what's going on with each other and preparing for this game. Look forward to seeing you guys down at the beach, covering you every day down there, and looking forward to a great ball game in Myrtle Beach on December 11th. Coach Craig, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And Coach Farmer, same to you. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Okay, there you go. Art Craig from Hanahan, Wayne Farmer from Calhoun County, head coaches for the Touchstone Energy Bowl, December 11th in Myrtle Beach. If you get your tickets in advance, they're $15. Day of the game at the gate, $20. And don't forget the invitation only junior showcase on the Friday night prior to at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium. Come out and watch some of the up and coming players from across the state show off their skills. Going to be a great couple of days to celebrate high school football in South Carolina. Back in a moment.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdhec.gov/.
All right, thanks again to the coaches, Art Craig and Wayne Farmer, for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. Let's get back to your phone calls. Got recruiting coming up for you as well in a little bit, and around the horn too, and a visit from Zach Willis and Monday night with Mick. But back to your phone calls as we go next to John in Rock Hill.
Well, no, we've had Joe still hanging on.
Oh,
In the
Joe.
last hour, we said we'd give
Well, Joe. Okay, Joe, I'm sorry. We had to cut you off there. You're back with us.
That's okay. I've still got an ear here, I think. At any rate, bottom line is, in my opinion, and that's an humble and a considered opinion, success starts with the basics. And the basics are being able to get in your three-point stance and stay there no matter what the defensive folks are doing. And I've seen too many times too much movement on the line and so forth. And I think whether you win or lose, you need to work on the basics. And if I could say anything to the coaches, that's what I would say. You need to work on the basics. And I'll just hang up and let you guys pontificate on that.
All
and
right.
by the way, how about them Braves?
Yeah, we were just
Thank
talking
you.
about that off the air. Thank you very much. Yeah, exciting win for the Braves last night. No question about it, man. You score. I was thinking about this tonight or last night after all this went down. What's the most exciting way to win a baseball game? A walk-off homer or a play at the plate where you score the winning run at the plate?
Neither of the two. Smitty will tell you it's a check swing third strike in Game 5 of the NLDS.
Yeah, that too. That's a good way to do it.
I think, you know what, Corn, my opinion, I think the best way, the most exciting way to win a baseball game is to have a runner on first, the winning run on 1st, and someone hits a ball in the gap.
Yeah.
Because then you have that moment where you're not sure. Do you send the guy all the way from first base, and then you've got the outfield arm, then the relay, then the play at the plate? I think that's even better than, barely, just by an eyelash, better than Francisco Cabrera plating Sid Bream.
Yes.
Ron Washington will send him every time without hesitation. That man is cold-blooded.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is. Had he been the Yankee third baseman, he for sure would have been thrown out at home. Third base coach, rather. He for sure would have been thrown out at home because the Yankees led Major League Baseball with the most outs at home plate this year. That's why Phil Nevin will not be returning as the third base coach, at least one of the reasons.
You guys rectified that problem, you hope.
Well, we'll see.
By getting rid of the guy.
Or maybe get some guys with speed, you know.
That might help, too.
That would help.
I was going to say that, for those that may not know, I'm a Dodger fan, and I can tell you I have so much respect for the way the Braves played last night. And, Phil, you've had to see this as well. The Rays win games, and they do it. They're usually an athletic team and a really good defensive team. They usually don't kill themselves. Now, the Braves did make one big defensive gaffe, Heredia in center, but otherwise the Braves' speed won that game. Overall athleticism, they're a young team and they're a fast team, and that plays when the weather's cold, and it played last night.
Absolutely. How about the fly ball that somebody from the Dodgers, I think it was in the ninth, hit right to the base of the wall, and like they were saying, had it been a summer day in Atlanta, that ball would have likely carried into the stands.
That was Trey Turner. Yeah, hit a ball out, and that's absolutely right. Ball doesn't carry at Truist Park in Marietta the way that it used to at the old Atlanta ballparks, either Turner or Fulton County, especially when it's cold.
Let's go to John in Rock Hill. A couple of more minutes here before the break. John, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Good. Yeah, a couple things on the Gamecock in Atlanta. That game on Saturday, and I get we are not in the position right now to vote anybody else. That game was way too close on Saturday, and I even questioned putting Zeb Nolan in the game. I'm I'm watching the game. I'm like, you need a touchdown to win the game. And for an offensive line did not block all night long for Luke Doty. Why are you going to put in, at the time, with no offense to Zeb, a less athletic quarterback, but for some reason the offensive line decided to block that last drive, and Zeb threw the touchdown he was able to get and won the game. And to Atlanta, real quick, going on, the team actually left this morning, and actually had some fans out at the ballpark sending them off. And I'm hoping the next time, I'm trying to think this thing one game at a time. I'm hoping the next time the fans see this team is in, let's say, a few days, and you got a good guy going tomorrow night in Charlie Morton, and I'm assuming that'd be Max Fried, but I'm focused right now on tomorrow night, and hopefully, we can. They said games 3, 4, and 5 are in LA, but hopefully game 5 is not necessary. And thanks for taking my call. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Well, the ghosts of last year are bouncing through the heads of the Braves right now. And they were up. They were up 3-1 last year over the Dodgers.
Game 5 will be necessary. I can almost guarantee that. There's no way the Dodgers get swept by the Braves. The Dodgers have owned the Braves in the postseason. They're not getting swept by the Braves.
Dale Murphy threw out the first pitch yesterday, too. And he had a good luck charm around his neck. Did he bounce that ball to the plate? It looked like a Dale Murphy-like throw to me. Sad. All right. Be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Clear and cool this evening with the low dropping to 47. Tomorrow, more of what we've had all day today with sunny skies and a bit warmer with high of 77. More of the same on Wednesday with sunny skies and 79 the high. No rain in the forecast until a very slight chance of a shower on Friday. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
Hey, Tiger fans, it's not too late to purchase your Clemson football tickets. Lock in your seat for one of our remaining home games by visiting ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets. That's your one-stop shop for tickets, schedule, and game day designations. Be sure and act now as tickets are going fast. So come back home to Clemson, and we'll see you in Death Valley cheering on our Tigers. That's ClemsonTigers.com/football tickets.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. Special Envoy for Afghanistan is stepping down following the chaotic American withdrawal from the country. The State Department says former ambassador to the United Nations in Afghanistan, Zalmay Khalilzad, will leave the post this week after more than 3 years on the job. Khalilzad had served as the Special Envoy for Afghan Reconciliation since September 2018, when the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo brought him on board to lead negotiations with the Taliban and the Afghan government. An Afghan native, Khalilzad negotiated a U.S. agreement with the Taliban in February 2020 that ultimately led to the end of America's longest-running war. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 36 points, but the Nasdaq rose 124, the S&P advanced 15. More details at srnnews.com.
You know, deer season is here and we all want to be successful, but our safety should come first.
A simple way to stay safe is to wear blaze orange as you walk to and from your stand.
Probably the best way to stay safe is to wear a safety harness.
Put it on, hook it up to a lifeline, and let the tree keep you safe from a fall during your hunt.
Lastly, always use your binoculars and not your rifle scope to look at and identify things while you're deer hunting. Woods and Water, South Carolina, your host Roger and Taylor Metz want you to be around to enjoy many deer seasons to come.
Just remember, the accident you might prevent, the life you might save, just might be your own.
The year is 1971, and Sudeth Automotive is providing affordable and reliable auto repair to Columbia. Fast forward 50 years and not much has changed. Time and time again, customer after customer, Sudeth Automotive has proven to be one of the best repair shops in Columbia. With our well-trained technicians, service packages, and monthly specials, we just keep getting better with time. Call us, come by at 1410 North Millwood Avenue, or make an appointment at SudethAuto.com.
Hi, honey. Were you able to drop by Tree Pharmacy today to pick up Mom's medications?
Yes, she sure is on a lot of meds.
I know. That's why I go over so often, to help make sure she's taking them correctly.
Well, I have great news. The pharmacist at True Pharmacy said he can pre-pack her medications into individual doses.
Wow. Knowing she's taking the right meds at the right time will give me great peace of mind. But how much does it cost?
That's the even better part. It's free. Just another great service they offer at True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations, Charleston Highway in West Columbia and Devine Street downtown.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. Is it me, or does life speed by so much faster this time of year? Your calendar fills up so quickly. Then before you know it, you're scratching your head when you see Christmas decorations for sale at Lowe's. How do you stay connected? Well, thanks for asking. We have the answer. It's fondue. Come in for reconnecting time. Have 4 courses, or just chocolate, or just cheese. We are here for you. 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard, the Melting Pot.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Football is back. And this year, the Citadel is trying to be top dog.
Get in here! I got one thing to say. This is when the big dogs come out. Stay in the room. You can't run with the big dogs. Stay on the ball.
Touchdown, Bulldogs! Fire those cannons. The Bulldogs are back.
The Citadel Bulldogs, all season long on 100.7 The Point.
We are back on Sports Talk on this Monday after just a crazy, crazy weekend of sports. Glad to have you with us. Let's continue in reflecting on South Carolina's narrow win over Vanderbilt, Clemson's narrow win over Syracuse. It is time for First and 10 here on Sports Talk. We welcome in the coach, Zach Willis, to the program. Coach, good evening. How are you, sir? It's good to have you with us.
Man, I've still got a little tomahawk chop in me from them Bravos last night, Phil. How about that?
That was wonderful.
Whoa.
Florida State's attorney on line one seeking to prevent and prohibit the use of their fight song by the Atlanta Braves.
I'm 1/16th Indian.
Oh.
So I qualified. I hope I didn't offend my brothers and sisters, but whoa.
1/16th. What part of what I'm afraid to ask what part of you of the 1/16th is Indian?
Look at my bone structure, dude.
Oh, is that right?
And my genetics, not my skin color,
Mm-hmm.
but everything underneath. A great-great-grandmother was Cherokee. A great-great-grandfather was Sioux.
Nice.
They met on the Trail of Tears.
Nice. Well, let's go to football, and let's begin on Friday. We'll do that game first since it came first. And Clemson and Syracuse, the Tigers win it much more comfortable than they would have preferred, I'm sure. What did you see from the Tigers in terms of any improvement anywhere, any regression? What did you take away from their performance?
Well, first of all, as a coach, basically the quarterback's lack of confidence right now is kind of spread throughout the team. I'm not blaming them for that, but a lot of times in that offense, when your trigger man's struggling, it throws timing off, and eventually you start having mistakes and confidence drops on that side of the ball, and I think you had a lot of dropped passes. Things, Ross right now, he made one incredible catch that looked like him down on the goal line for their first score, or led to their first score, looked incredible. And you see glimpses of greatness there, but you see some struggles too. So offensively, they're not there yet. There's some glimpses, but what they do best there is Dabo knows how to manage the game. He doesn't do anything. He realizes where he's at. He knows it's going to be tight. They're going to have to fight for every win, it looks like, from here on out through the rest of the season. So they play a lot of field position football, and it's boring, it's ugly, but it wins. And he doesn't take unnecessary chances. Kids made a lot of mistakes on both sides. Defense gave up some big plays that made that game closer than it needed to be, which is uncharacteristic for them. But, they're not blowing anybody out, and you have to manage games, and they don't look pretty, and they're not entertaining. They were to me because he made all the right moves. Didn't go for anything he didn't need to.
Concern you a little bit if you're a Clemson fan that last possession, you'd like your defense just to shut down Syracuse, but Syracuse was able to put a drive together, and that running back, Tucker, he is special. But they were able to put a drive together and get down to position to kick a potential game-time field goal. You expect a little bit more out of the defense, don't you?
I do, until when they start getting tired and bad things start happening. There's kids out there, and even in the NFL, momentum's a big deal. People downplay that, and the next game we're going to talk about, I don't want to jump ahead, but you have to understand as a coach how going for it, not going for it, and botching plays that can be stopped by the coach. It's like taking a layup over a three-pointer, the risk-reward. It's magnified in a football game because he didn't do anything to dissuade his kids from fighting to the end. They made some plays to keep them out of the end zone, too. And it came down to a field goal, and Clemson won the game. I think they would have probably won it in overtime. But there are no gimmies this year for them. They're going to have to fight for everything they get. These conference teams are not scared of Clemson. Never have been. Syracuse and Clemson won the national championship. Played for it. They beat them 1 year up there.
Mm-hmm.
Carried on. That's never been easy. So nothing's taken for granted. They got a long way to go. They're not a normal Clemson team. We know that. But I like the game management by the head coach and the coordinator. So they're not doing this, not doing that. The kids can't do it, guys. The game is not there yet for them. The game's too fast for their quarterback. Their receivers are dropping passes now that they weren't dropping before. Look at Ross. He's regressed. And maybe some of that's a spinal issue, maybe neurological. We don't know. But what we do know is every game's going to be tight. Go ahead and expect it. Get your nerve pills ready if you're a Clemson fan, because you're going to need them every weekend. But they're managing the game. They're doing the things they need to do to give their kids a chance to win. And that's what you do when you have a mediocre team, which they have right now.
I mentioned earlier in the show, get your thoughts about it. I like the 1-2 combination of Pace and Maffa at running back. Why don't you take Shipley and put him in the slot and let him use his speed and athleticism in a number of different ways there?
Is he back now?
Maybe this week. Definitely, I would say by Florida State from what we're hearing, and maybe this week against Pittsburgh.
I think it'd be great, even if it's a top of 8 full. It's like, I think he's more of an old school fullback. I don't know if he's that big, but man, he's strong as a bull. He's a straight up runner. I mean, he's got good hands too. I would say H/slot back definitely. When he understands pass protection, he'll be an excellent pass protection third down back. But the two they got right now are going to be special. I agree with you, and they're big, and they can change direction. I agree with that 100%.
All right, let's go to South Carolina Vanderbilt, and I mean, this was a bad Vanderbilt team in South Carolina. Did they play down to Vanderbilt, or is that about as good as South Carolina can do it right now?
No. This Vanderbilt team got beat badly by East Tennessee State 23-3. East Tennessee State is East Tennessee State. The talent differential, when you watch Carolina's backs, when they got a crease and got a hole first quarter, that's what you should have seen. And what turned this game, because South Carolina doesn't have a talent deficit to very many people. Georgia, yes, maybe slightly to a few others other than Alabama. But talent-wise, they've got some great players. And it showed at times. It showed at times this year in games. But again, once again, we're up, and I say Carolina's up 14-3 in the first quarter. Okay? And what do? They come out, and they got a 4th down and 4. They can go up 17-3. They're in complete control of this football game. What do? They go for it. And it kills them, because here's what really crushed them is, Jordan Strachan makes an incredible play, a huge momentum-shifting play, and I was shocked that they just didn't pound that thing in, but Vanderbilt bowed up a little bit, and I think they may have had a penalty, and they get stopped. It's 4th and 4. You're not going to make that down in the red zone against many teams at all. I don't care who you're playing. Take the points, and more importantly, Phil, take the momentum. You've got all the momentum. You're at home. The fans are behind you. 17-3, in my mind, looks way better than 14-3. And you realize they didn't score again against a very poor, very slow-footed, unsure tackling Vanderbilt defense until the game winner. And I mean, it was that call, and I don't know why they think they're Lane Kiffin, which I don't know why he would be your role model, but going for it on 4th down and making these crazy calls in the red zone. Don't do that. All they had to do is turn on the TV Friday night and watch a guy guide his team to a win when they're struggling to even tie their shoes right. They're finding a way to win down there. And South Carolina, unfortunately, almost found a way to lose to a very inferior, worst football team they played this year, I'd say, at least on paper. It's not second worst for sure.
Zach, you really hit on something there about 4th down. That's what I was going to ask you, and you just addressed most of it there. But there's one more thing I want to ask you about going for it on 4th down, because something we've seen now on multiple occasions from South Carolina, and you were a head coach and an assistant. When you want to go for it on 4th down, South Carolina on multiple times now has run their pattern short of the sticks as well. So you as a head coach, when you say we want to go for it to your coordinator, do you tell them, do you give them any guidance there, run or throw or run this type of route combination, or do you just say, let's go for it and leave it in the hands of your coordinator? Because Satterfield has come up short on a couple of occasions there.
Well, I really question. That's a great question. Here's how you do it to win. You have 4th and short, basically your goal line package. Short is anything less than a yard to 3 yards, okay? Maybe a yard to 2 yards. Then you have 4th and medium, which is 3 to 7 yards, which is a massive thing. You do this on 3rd down, too. When we won our first championship at Newberry, we had 19 drives of 78 yards or more, and we had an 85% conversion rate on 3rd and medium, which is where you win your championships. And anybody knows anything about football and coaching, 3rd and medium is key. to winning huge games. Fourth down, you divide it up into fourth and inches, fourth and short, fourth and medium, which is 3 to 7 yards, and then fourth and long is anything above 7 yards. And you have plays on the sheet designed, and you go right to those plays. You know what's working, what they're going to give you, what they're not going to give you by that point, and it is the head coach's job. I was taught this I watched Lou Holtz and Martin Antonio do it, and a ton of other successful coaches. And Dabo does this. He makes the decisions when they go for it on fourth down, and he'll say, give me your best 3 plays, most likely. That's what I would do. And then I would pick that. Here's why. I take responsibility as the head coach on fourth down or in overtime. The head man has to step in on both sides of the ball and give some attention to both sides for moral support, and also to take the pressure off of his play caller and take the heat of the media, because that's why you're the head coach. You don't stand down on one end of the field and look like you're bored or whatever, have all happy, all well for the media when you get in front of them. There's 2 different personalities we're seeing. We're seeing one on the sideline that's disengaged, and one in front of you guys that's a total act job. And I hate to say that, that's what I'm seeing. And my job is to tell you guys the truth. And I was stunned at what I saw after the game with his kids. That's just, they're using them as props. He should have been disgusted with what happened in that football game. And I love the fact that South Carolina fans and Clemson fans are disappointed. We're starting to have standards in our state. Clemson fans always have, but Carolina fans don't need to be happy with what's going on. I'm not saying fire anybody, but there needs to be some pressure put here, because these are mistakes that are correctable, and they're mistakes that they're play calling, and they're taking chances that don't need to be taken and putting them in jeopardy of losing a game. They lost to Kentucky. They shouldn't have lost that game. Look how good they've done this year. But they make smart decisions on game day.
Do you not get a pass as a first-year coach, a first-time head coach?
When you're a head coach in the SEC, I mean, I don't think they should fire him. I've already said that.
Sure.
But at what point do you learn? I mean, Tennessee last week, Phil, remember your conversation with me? We won't repeat that on the air. But, you know better. I know better. And there's a whole lot of other coaches out there. The 2 guys you had on for the North-South game, Touchstone Energy Bowl, they know better. Most of the fans in that stadium knew better. My wife knew better. She said something about it. I mean, this is not there's a pass that's given people. You know who probably needs a pass is Ed Orgeron. But I'm not saying fire them, but we've got to see some improvement here. And it's not the kids. When they're looking undisciplined and jumping off sides, we're seeing a de-evolution. I mean, from Will Muschamp on in the last year, we talked about this hire. And this is exactly what I was afraid of. You can't con people. You need to go put your coaching pants on. Okay, take responsibility. That fourth down call needed to be addressed. And you guys tried to address it. The fans have tried to address it, and they're coming disguised as empty seats more and more. And that's not good for anybody. I want to see this Gamecock program thrive. I want to see Clemson back on top, because I'm a South Carolina person from I went to Furman, and they're not doing too bad. I hate to see stupid things on the football field. As a coach, you know better than to do. I mean, you were in the airport, but Smitty, those guys were there. They were watching it. Why did you go for that on 4th and 4? Take the 17 points and a 14-point lead and cruise. Because at that point, the game's pretty much over from a mental step. Vanderbilt will drop their head after that interception and be done. And you gave them life all day long with timely fumbles, missing blitzes, they bailed Carolina out when they said Doty threw a forward pass, which I agreed with the call. But thank God they got it right. Who knows what happens in that game?
Yeah. Okay, sir. We thank you as always. Great stuff. 1st and 10 with Zach Willis here on Sports Talk. We appreciate it. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week.
It's a pleasure, guys. Go Braves.
Thanks, Coach.
Braves. Every team I want to lose is winning, and the one team I wanted to win lost. Thank you very much, Zach. We appreciate it. Going to hit the break, come back with a quick recruiting update, quick trip around the diamond, around the horn with Chris Bergen, and then Monday night, visit from Mick Mixon, voice of the Panthers. All that coming up. We're going to squeeze it in the next 10 minutes. Don't go away. Be right back.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. futurescholar.com.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
All right, recruiting is brought to you by Seawells. Hey, it's another great week to get to Seawells for the delicious luncheon buffet. I'm going to get there this week for sure before I head out to Texas. They say everything is bigger and better in Texas. No, sir. They don't have Seawells. They don't have the daily luncheon buffet. They don't have a roast beef Friday. 11 to 2 every day. It's a delicious lunch buffet at Seawells. And, of course, the best in the catering business. Just give the folks at Seawells a call. They'll answer all your questions and concerns. 803-771-7385. Running back Kanye Udo, 6 feet 200 of Ridgeland, New Jersey, was at USC Saturday. He was at Clemson back in September. Tigers aren't really recruiting him anymore, he said. USC running back coach Montario Hardesty is showing interest. They liked his midseason film. Coaches are looking him over and looking over his film to determine if they're going to offer. He enjoyed his visit, enjoyed looking at the new facilities, the football operations building, and said it was a great vibe in the stadium with the fans and everything. So he said Hardesty likes him. He liked this film, and he's waiting to hear back from them. He just went over 1,000 yards rushing on the season. He's also been offered by Maryland, Army, and Delaware, and those are 3 of the schools that have offered him or in touch the most. USC reportedly showing interest in West Virginia transfer defensive back Kerry Martin, 2023. Here's some other folks that confirmed visiting USC Saturday. 2023 offensive tackle Sam Pendleton of Fafton, North Carolina. 2023 punter Nolan Harris of Greensboro, Georgia. Receiver Tyson Rooks and 2025 teammate safety Greg Peacock of Brunswick. 2023 running back Jarvis Green of Dutch Fork was offered by Charlotte. 2024 offensive tackle Sidney Coleman of Fredericksburg, Virginia. He was at USC Saturday. And newly offered 2024 tight end Michael Smith of Savannah was at USC Saturday. In basketball, Clemson target 6'7" Randall Godfrey of Sewanee, Georgia, made an official at Utah over the weekend. 2024 6'11" Steven Solano of Queens, New York, made an unofficial at USC over the weekend, according to Commonwealth Basketball Group. And 2023 6'11" Jordan Butler of Christchurch visited, where did he visit? I put Christchurch in here twice. I think it was Florida State. that he went to over the weekend? He was at Virginia Tech last weekend. I'll double-check that and report back to you. That's recruiting. Let's go quickly around the horn.
Now let's actually go to Mick. We're running out of time. Let's squeeze in Monday Night with Mick instead of the horn until tomorrow.
You're going to sit on around the horn?
I am going to sit around the horn
until
tomorrow night.
Well, then Monday night.
There's no good news. Cousins with Madison to his right. Cousins climbs the pocket. Touch pass to the left pylon. It is caught for the score. The Vikings win the game on a 27-yard touchdown pass, left pylon.
I happen to know that Aaron Rodgers prefers the left pylon over any other pylon on the field. Mick Mixon, voice of the Panthers. And I was hoping you guys would do the Packers a favor, but you came up short.
I guess you could say what you're doing to me now is piling on.
Nice.
Very good, Mick. Very good.
Well, you got to laugh unless you start crying, having lost 3 in a row. I think, Corn and Chris, it's about where we kind of are, though, with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, we could chop this up all night and say, well, you could have beat Philadelphia, probably should have. Yesterday was a great opportunity to make history, couldn't close the deal. But, Houston and the Jets are probably thinking, well, we could have beat you guys as well, and the Saints. So I think, 3-3 with a couple more winnable games on the schedule. The Panthers just need to get some guys healthy and try to get right.
Yeah, every day we see the reports about McCaffrey in practice, not practicing, not available. What's it look like for this week?
He's on injured reserve, so it'll be a couple of more weeks before McCaffrey is even in the conversation. Stephon Gilmore, though, will be available this week if he can get healthy and impress the coaches. Don't know why C.J. Henderson was not up last game, Corn. He wasn't on the injury report Friday. He has had a shoulder. But, that was just a heartbreak. I mean, a miracle that the Panthers even forced overtime. Unbelievable theater. But the Vikings have a good crew. Vikings really should probably be better than their 3-3 record at this point.
This may come across as a type question, but is Christian McCaffrey that valuable to the offense? Because it has obviously not looked the same, and the team hasn't since he went on the shelf and now onto injured reserve.
It's actually a great question, Chris. I think the answer is yes. You can duplicate what he does with the football. Chuba Hubbard has done a good job, but McCaffrey as a receiver and McCaffrey in blitz pickup and pass pro, he's a cut above.
Hey, Mick, the Panthers this season have been outscored 48-14 in the third quarter. Big deal, little bit of deal, no big deal. What do you think?
Matt Rule has said if he knew why, if he could figure it out, he would have already fixed it. It remains a mystery, and I wish I had an answer for you. I think that the Panthers are working on it, and I predict, of course, Matt Rule has foretold this, that the Panthers will go back to trying to be more of a run-to-pass football team for a while.
So, I mean, things were looking so good. Everybody was on such a high after the first 3 weeks, and now you're going through this losing streak. You see any head hanging, taking place around the facility? You do have the Giants coming up next, so that should help.
They're 1-5. Yeah, and they're injured. They're dinged up. I don't see anybody hangdog. I ran into Robbie Anderson today. He had step and gleam in his eye and other cliches. Same thing with Frankie Louvu. Saw a couple of the other guys in the building today, Corn, and I think the Panthers are disappointed but yet optimistic.
All right, my friend, enjoy your show you got coming up tonight, and good luck this coming Sunday. See if you can get this thing turned around, get healthy, and win some ball games. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. We're going to do it.
Take care, my man. All
Thanks,
right, Mick Mixon. A reminder, a Talking Tuesday coming up tomorrow. We'll have it covered for you here. We'll see you then.
Someone will be right with you.